My guests are seated. I have one of my regular guests, Elvis Darko, who is the editor of the Finder newspaper. Elvis, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, yourself?
I'm well, thank you. How was your weekend? You look like you've been chilling.
I was in Kenya. I just returned yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
I left Ghana on Wednesday for a media conference in
How's Nairobi?
And
You were to Nairobi?
Oh, Nairobi. I was in Nairobi. Nairobi is nice. The skylines look good, but they are not different from Accra with sanitation and poor planning. It's not bad, but the African problem seems to be like
it's Africa.
The same everywhere. It's like we have similar problems wherever you go.
Well, it's good to have you here. And my other guest is Vivian Kai-Lokko, who is the head of news here at Citi TV and Citi FM. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
You're making it a habit of appearing on Breakfast Daily these days.
Sorry.
Sorry. We are not sorry at all. We are very excited that you should join us here today. Yeah, but how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well. Yeah. How was your weekend?
Not bad. Rested a bit.
Good. Okay. Well, let's delve into our stories for the day, and I want to begin by discussing the issue of the labor unrest. And this time it's happening at the GMA. So let's take a look at that story quickly, and then we'll have a conversation. So the Ghana Medical Association threatened to withdraw services next week. This is on citynewsroom.com. The Ghana Medical Association, GMA, mother body of doctors in Ghana, has indicated that it will soon withdraw its services over the failure of government to put into effect the agreed conditions of service of its members. The health professionals gave the indication in a communique following their 61st Annual General Conference in Tamale. It has issued a week's ultimatum to government to sign the agreed conditions of service document for medical doctors and dentists working with the Ministry of Health and its agencies, or risk having them withdraw their services gradually. A one-week window is hereby offered government, and that is the Ministry of Health. That is, if by 18 hours GMT on the 17th of November 2019, the conditions of service document for medical doctors and dentists working with the Ministry of Health and its agencies has not been signed off for implementation effective 1st January 2020, the following set of activities shall kickstart. The first is effective Monday, 18th November 2019, all doctors and dentists working in the public sector will withdraw outpatient department services. This will continue until Sunday, 1st December 2019. Now, the second bit of their implementation will be from 2nd December, that's Monday, to Sunday, 8th December 2019. Emergency services shall also now be withdrawn. Okay, and then the third part of it is that on Monday, the 9th of December 2019, all services shall totally be withdrawn. Now, let me start with Elvis. You've seen this story. What do you make of it?
Well, but I told you last week about the TUTAC that this is the season for strikes. And once the election year is coming, every professional body that works for the state is going to demand more. And so we should expect some of these things. It's just like, see, it repeats itself. It's a seasonal thing. It's a seasonal thing. Once we are getting closer to the elections, everybody will demand each pound of flesh.
But in this case, it doesn't look like they are asking for a new thing.
In this case, it's just a renewal. Yeah. But the point is, the renewal also comes. I remember the last time, some of the things were not granted because they were asked to take what they have agreed. Some of them will be implemented when it is being renewed.
Okay.
So you see, for me, once the government has agreed, just renew it. I don't think that we can afford this kind of strike. We know the situation with the doctor-patient relationship in this country, and the challenges that happens. I remember the last one, the number of people who were reported to have gone to hospital and because of no doctor died was a huge issue in this country. So I can only the health minister and the president that look, Ghana, as we speak now, situation is quite precarious in terms of accessing health care. So we can't afford another strike by health professionals. So they should just sign it on quickly and then we move on. And I was telling you about TUTAC that people were demanding entertainment allowance as lecturers, entertainment allowance. Yes, because politicians are enjoying it. Until we cut down on what we offer politicians, I don't expect professional groups to stop demanding more. I expect them to demand more because their contribution to this country can be visible, can be seen everywhere. But if you ask me, the legacy of the parliament that we have there, what real legacy they have left us in this Fourth Republic, it will be difficult to find. So if these politicians are enjoying all these benefits, why not the professional whose contribution can easily be seen? So for me, until we begin to make public office less attractive in terms of finance, people who are working for the state in various sectors will continue to demand more because it's just unfair that the politician will enjoy all those goodies in the name of the fact that they are politicians. And people who are public servants who are in the system for ages and will retire in the system are rather being treated as if they don't matter. So for me, if we want to send a signal to the professional bodies that we must all tighten our belts to move this country forward, the politician must set the example. Liberia Parliament has just cut down their salaries by 30%. 30%. They've reduced their salaries by 30% in Liberia to save money because the economy is hard. What is happening to our parliament? Will they allow
we've been going only one
the committee for emolument is working.
Just keep going up.
It's working. Soon they will bring announcement because of inflation and so. All kinds of jargons will be presented. So we have adjusted the earnings of the politician and they will increase it. And so they justify it by saying that because you are increasing your own because inflation has gone up. Okay? So you want more. But the public servant, you don't care about whether inflation has gone up and that he deserves more. So for me, public servants who work for the state will continue to demand more, and they are right to demand more so long as we have these attractive conditions of service for people who are in parliament. What sense does it make if a teacher who has completed teacher training, who has not gone further, but is lucky to win a seat as MP driving a V8, and the colleague teacher who is also at the same level can't buy a bicycle and remain in the same state? Why do you think that teacher will not ask for more? The mere fact that you've transitioned from being a teacher to a politician with the same qualification, your standard of living changes immediately. You are giving house in Accra. You are giving a security. You are giving that. You are giving that. You are giving that. But there is nothing that has changed in your life. The only thing that has changed in your life is that people voted for you to become MP. That your colleague teacher who holds the same qualification, who is doing the same way that you were doing with him, will remain at the same level once your life transforms overnight because you have now become a politician. If this is the kind of standard we keep setting for ourselves, then I expect that more professional bodies in the public sector will go on strike, will demand more. But if we want to stop it, then the politician must set the example that now we are not going to give you a car anymore. You to use your salary and buy a car. If I get interest-free loan, I also buy a car. So don't tell me that it's a loan given to the MP. How many Ghanaians have access to those kind of conditions of loans that they give to the MP? Why should an MP all of a sudden be entitled to a 3-bedroom house because he won an election to become an MP? Why? When he was a teacher, was he entitled to that? Why should an MP immediately be entitled to this? Now they are saying that because one MP has been attacked, they want security. So the Ghanaians who are being attacked by armed robbers, and they are not human beings. So you see, we must set equal value for all of us as Ghanaians. They are all working for Ghana. And therefore, if the people who are politicians are being given luxurious condition of service, a minister of state has 2 cars, one V8 and one saloon car. A minister of state, the fact that he's a minister of state, not that because he's doing anything unique. The fact that he's a teacher and his party wins election, he's made a minister, automatically he's entitled to 2 cars, one V8, one saloon car. He has access to security. Automatically, he's given a houseboy and a house girl allowance, including entertainment allowance. And then the person who is working with him says, then what am I doing here? If this man just join a political party. That is why the fight for politics has become so attractive.
Yeah.
That is why our election is so acrimonious, because everybody knows that once you have access to state power, your life transforms overnight. And you expect the doctor who has been working for 15 years, the teacher, the nurse, all these who have been working all along in the same position should continue to earn the same thing once you come and enjoy all these benefits. If the politicians don't want this pressure from the public servant, they should set the example by reducing their benefits. Then the people will say, okay, they are making sacrifices, they are coming to our level, so there's no need for us to demand more. But then if they continue to stay on this kind of conditions, I expect more of this to happen, because these people, we can feel their contribution than these politicians, especially the people in the parliament. If you want to check the legacy of parliament, maybe the chamber that they want to build may have been the legacy they would have left. But if you see the kind of bad loans that they approve, the kind of contracts that go there, they approve, and it turns out that these are very bad contracts. You ask yourself, what kind of service are they offering to us? So for me, let's expect more unless the politicians set a different example.
All right, Vivian, what do you make of the GMA looking at striking at this particular time?
Okay, so I was going through the demands that they made, that government had agreed to, sign and approve these things. So 40% of basic salary as accommodation allowance per month, 20% as core duty facilitation allowance, 30% clothing allowance, 20% maintenance allowance, 20% utility allowance, 50% as professional allowance, and 25% special risk allowance, and vehicle tax exemption to doctors. Now, if you look at what they are demanding, really, you have rural areas where they need doctors. They go to these places, even you walk miles, you don't get to the main roadside. There's no potable water, there's no electricity, there's not any proper utility service, yet we push these people there. You look at the conditions of nurses. There's a story running about one of the hospitals here in Accra. Now, when it rains, the consulting ward office gets flooded. The wards get flooded. There are no mosquito nets. And this is a ward, one of the wards is a maternity ward. And then, a pregnant woman who gets malaria or a breastfeeding mother who gets malaria, we all know the implications. And then accommodation, challenges with accommodation and all that. And then we are finding it difficult to approve these things. Yet we are approving so many other things that really don't hold as a country. So you ask yourself, what is the priority of government? And this is not the first time we are seeing doctors striking or teachers striking or nurses striking. Whilst we were reading the thing, I remembered when I was a little girl in primary school. My dad worked at Kolebu Teaching Hospital as an accountant. And at the time, doctors were striking over poor conditions of service. And it's not going to end anytime soon. So the things they are demanding are not out of place. Why do we wait to a point where they have to come and remind us that, go and pay me what you owe me? And they also intentionally wait till the time where you be tight or your back will be against the wall, and you have to pay them what is due. This is next month is Christmas. This is a time we see a lot of issues, the road accidents, or the hospitals get busy and all that. Elections are coming up. All these campaign promises you're going to make, you have to deal with the ones you've already made, So there's high demand. This is a period where they'll make these demands. But why do we wait till we get to this point? You wonder why. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, the whole week, there were strikes from teachers, from nurses, all throughout the week. Strikes.
So is it that we have found out that the politician will only respond to demands when elections are coming up, and that's why it's happening at this time, or there's a peculiar thing going on in the economy that is causing them to strike?
Two things. The politician responds to strikes. Look at the historical. The politician always responds to strike. And I mean, if they pull their same partial pull out of their services, I think in 2 weeks, on the 17th of November. Now, the moment people want access to health care and they are not getting it and they start agitating, the government will respond. the other issue is campaign period. You need something from us. So this is the time I also call my shots. But I'm saying that, do we have to get to the point where we'll have to hold you accountable just around the campaign period, or just when we have to hit the streets before you get what we want done for us? I'm not sure we should be doing that. It's not to say that elsewhere you don't see the same thing. You see that all over the place. But I'm saying that the demands they are making are not even out of place. We've seen others make demands that you ask yourself, is this what you want to fight for? Is this what you want us to get on board to help you fight? But these things they've requested for are things that we should give them. A month ago, a teacher was killed by some students in some area in the eastern region for trying to reprimand them on something they did. Now, teachers don't even go to certain places because of the nature of the security. It's the same with doctors. We've seen cases where even facilities have been built for doctors to have, better facilities to operate, yet we don't use them. But we're asking them to go, and saying that we don't have the infrastructure to take care of the sick, etc., and all that. So we need to be serious about what we want to do.
The other question that I have is, what is it that we can do to fix this thing that seems to be a mindset challenge? Where if you look at doctors in, let's say, the best practices of how to treat doctors in terms of their remuneration and emoluments and so on, there are places where doctors are earning up to $1,500, $2,000 a night. There's some places, right? Now, of course, Ghana, maybe we can't do that. But we are so far away from that. It's like we are universes apart from that world where doctors can earn so much, right? So can we also begrudge the doctors for graduating and deciding that they won't stay in this country?
Of course not. I mean, if I'll get better allowance somewhere else, why not?
So in some of these places, politicians actually have their salaries much less than what we have here. Here, it seems like we flipped the script.
No, it's only in Africa where politicians get more or politicians demand certain things and nobody questions. I don't know whether because directly or indirectly we gain, or I'm not sure. But these are people who provide essential services. Now, if you look, teachers, doctors, nurses, those who are key in the society in terms of services, all over all the period, are the ones who are paid less. And every year they have to demand for it to be increased. And when people are campaigning, they say when they come, they will come and change the conditions for them. Yet but when they come, they never do. When they come, they concentrate on their personal growth or development and forget about these people. And then when these people move or say that we are going to other countries, then we have a problem with it. Now, if somebody has to, if you mingle with these doctors, some of them go to work from morning and close at night, or even beyond.
Or sometimes the next day.
Oh, the next day, because they cannot leave the person or the people when they come to their consulting room and all that. We have politicians who are, let's say, MPs in charge of their constituencies, who haven't made sure that there's any development in the constituency. Yet we still go and vote for them to come back. We don't hold them accountable. Right? We have, rules and regulations on what a politician can do or what we can do in office and all that. Yet nobody is taking them to court. Nobody is holding them responsible. But when those who provide us with the essential services that you and I need, then we have a problem with that.
Elvis, do you think that we as a people need to do better then? Because it looks as if it's our fault that we've allowed this to go on this long.
But if I go to the medical school and I say most of the doctors, if you talk to them, in fact, the reason they live here is not salary. The reason they live here is lack of the state-of-the-art equipment to work with. If you talk to most of the doctors, they tell you that the money...
So salary is not really the challenge.
Salary is a challenge.
You can't even do your work.
The number one problem is, even when you are paying me the challenge and I go to the office, and the things I need to work, I can't work. And patients are there, I know I can save them. But the things I need to save them are not there. That is more of a worry to them than the money you are paying them. Because they believe that even when the money is small, yet they don't have the resources to work. It's like they are being paid for doing no work. Because they see a lot of things. They believe that if the resources are there, they could save the life. So if you talk to a lot of doctors, and that is why most of the time they refuse posting to rural areas. Because when they go there, there's nothing there for them to work with. So they don't refuse posting to, you see, sometimes we create the impression they refuse posting to rural because there's no light or water. You talk to some of them, they say, if they have a proper facility with the resources in there, that when they go there and people come with their sicknesses, they can save lives, they don't mind going. But the problem is that even in Accra, the so-called big ones, they even struggle to get the resources to work. So how much more those in the rural areas? Okay? How do you get it? This last week, this sickle cell thing was launched. And they said testing for a baby for sickle cell, that if every child should be tested, it costs only $5 to test a baby born to know whether he has sickle cell or not. But because the government has not put that money there, we are not testing all babies for sickle cell. And then the doctor takes care of that baby, and in 6 months' time, the baby comes back with all kinds of complications. Now they found that the baby has sickle cell. Meanwhile, that would have been done on the first day, and the doctor would have known that I should have started giving the person this kind of medication. At that point, even when it's discovered, the medication to even treat sickle cell is even not one that is available or affordable to the people. So we should look at the infrastructure and the resources, at the same time their condition of service. People who are saving lives are doing a very important job, and therefore we must make the resources available for them to be able to save lives. We read stories about torchlights being used in theaters for operation. Yet the doctors go ahead, do the operation, and save the lives. So you realize that if the resources are there, the money will be a secondary issue. But their key problem is the resources. Go to even the Kolibuters. You see something, say, is this the premier hospital of Ghana? And we said yes. This is the premier hospital. And then we have these challenges. He said yes. So we need to look at healthcare financing. One key problem is about the financing. We seem to put entire healthcare financing on government. No government can do that because it's expensive. And because of that, I realize that we are not having big health facilities by private people in this country because healthcare finance is a very expensive thing. So we want to cater for people, but we must also come up with a proper healthcare financing policy. There are countries around the world where major hospitals are listed on the stock exchange. They become a publicly owned hospital, and therefore they have the money that they need to be able to work, and they charge people for it to be able to keep operation. So we need to begin to think about strategic way of financing the health infrastructure.
All right, thank you. Well, we're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to continue the conversation. All right, welcome back. And we're still having this conversation, and we're going to talk about the attacks against the whole challenge with the corruption issues. We're going to talk about the story we have here on CitiNewsroom.com. Stop attacking Auditor General. This is from the Economic Fighters League to politicians. It says here, pressure group Economic Fighters League has cautioned persons trying to discredit the work of the Auditor General through attacks to desist from such practices. The group gave the caution against the backdrop of intense pressure on the Auditor General for indicting some government officials in its report. The finding was published on the Auditor General's report on the public accounts of Ghana ministries, departments, and other agencies for the financial period ending 31st December 2018. The Alliance for Accountable Governance has called on the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice to investigate the Auditor General's department for alleged procurement breaches. AFAG, in a statement, said its investigations have revealed that as far back as 3rd January 2019, the Board of the Public Procurement Authority, in a letter authored by the Board Secretary, informed the Auditor General of flagrant breaches of the Public Procurement Act 2003, Act 663, as amended by the Public Procurement Amendment Act in 2016. Government also descended heavily on the Auditor General recently for indicting the Finance Ministry and the Senior Minister in its report. But the Economic Fighters League called for such attacks to be aborted. The group commended the Auditor General for its fight against corruption. This statement, and I quote, is to show unreserved support for the Auditor General, Mr. Daniel Domlevo, and the Audit Service, which has come under intense attack from partisan political hawks recently, including through a frivolous petition to IOCO against the Auditor General. The group further said that if the government was serious about fighting public sector corruption, it would not allow hard-working Auditor General like Daniel Domlevo to be attacked and discredited. We encourage the Auditor General to stand firm and not be intimidated to do his work without fear or favor. The nation is solidly behind him, the station added. All right, Vivian. So we know that the audit service over the, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 years, seem to have not done much, in terms of its mandate until the current, Mr. Daniel Domlevo took over. And then he was seen, it was almost odd to see the Auditor General, charging down, pursuing his agenda, and almost as if he was witch hunting some people. But he was only carrying out his job as per the Constitution. So right now, are the attacks on him fair? Or as the economic fighters guys are saying, that he's been attacked by political hawks unfairly? Okay.
So, what is the role of the Auditor General? Simply to, look at government finances and ensure that they are on the right tangent with regards to that. We are in over the period, we've experienced high levels of corruption, high levels of mismanagement of government funds. Yeah. And we've not been able to really jail or ensure that somebody pays for mismanaging. Some of the cases we've seen, they've had to pay back, etc., and all that. I think in the history of the service, like you rightly said, this is one of the vocal or very strong auditors we've seen. Over the period, he's been able to show that he can do and he will do. Right? Yeah. We've had cases where public officials their hands have been tied. We set up the Special Prosecutor's Office. He's still struggling to get resources to do his work. Yeah. This guy has been able to set up his investigation, and then when people are found wanting or have gone contrary to what they are supposed to do, as ensure that they pay for it, or he brings it out in the public. But at the same time, there's been issues of whether he jumps the gun too early. Okay. We saw with the case of Sylvester Mensah, where he took him to court and said that you embarked on a number of investigations against my office at the time. When I was, of course, out of office, but to some of the things I did. But I didn't have a fair hearing on this. The court ruled that by fair justice, you should have given him the opportunity to react to what you alleged against him, because if you don't and you put it in the system or you publish it, that's and it turns out not to be true, that's clear defamation against him, etc. We've seen cases where, for example, with a senior minister, he has come out to say that, wait a minute, what you said, this is what it is, this is the actual case or not. We know that with him, the reports are true. You have the preliminary reports first published, but must not be in public domain, and then the total finding, which will lead to a surcharge and all that. Now, if he's going contrary to the rules of the game in terms of ensuring that the people that he's bringing into the fray, they must have a fair hearing, and he doesn't give it to them, I think we have to call a spade and deal with that matter. But if he's doing his work, he goes through the rules and all that, and doesn't say to himself, because I cannot be fired by the president per law, because I'm supposed to be purely independent, I'll do what I want to do and not go by the rules, then we have a problem. I know there's a case where a gentleman is taking him to court to get the court to tell us, because I know that he cannot, I'm trying to pull his act, he's not subject to any direction or control of any person or authority. And the gentleman is seeking clarity on at which point can he be called to order At which point can he not do A, B, C, D for the court to clearly tell us what it is? Because there are some of the issues that are being raised against him. I think we have to look at that. Nonetheless, I think he's doing a fantastic job. Now, over the period, he's been able to reveal serious rot in the public service. Serious rot in the public service, where he's been able to surcharge people for certain things they were not supposed to do. Now, if you look at some of the reports that he's released and some of the infractions we've seen, you ask yourself, who is really keeping an eye, even within their institutions, you know? And they are getting away with these things, or they do it within a period for him to bring it out. But whether there's witch hunting or not on his person, I think is also something we need to look at. Because I remember when the Osafo case came out, you had the information minister coming out to also, you know, defend the senior minister, which I thought shouldn't have been done. I mean, these are things you can deal within yourself. You don't, you know. But you are seeing that. But you shouldn't be surprised. I mean, if people are being accused of certain things, definitely they'll come out strong and hit at you. So, I mean, he should go per the rules, and then if he wants to do what he wants to do and is within the rules, I think he should be fine.
Okay. Elvis, so the Daniel Dominovo has saved us so far over 60, saved us and recovered, actually, over 60 million Ghana cedis, you know, of the public press. What's happening to him at the moment with the various attacks, especially by AFAG? What do you make of what's going on?
Oh, well, for me, I think that the difference between this Auditor General and the previous Auditor General is simple. His decision to surcharge people to refund monies that they are said to have misapplied or not used for the right purpose is the difference. Because as for the rot, it has always been, if you take all the Auditor General report, these findings have always been there. The only challenge we had was that the previous auditors held the view that they don't have the power to surcharge the people they found culpable in their report. They thought it's the duty of Parliament. So they've always left it to Parliament. And Occupy Ghana took the issue up and said, no, by the law, the Auditor General was supposed to surcharge. The then Auditor General, Attorney General disagreed. So then Occupy Ghana has to take the case to court. But while the case was in court, when this man was appointed, he said where he's working, that is all that he's been doing. So he agrees with Occupy Ghana that if anybody is found culpable in an Auditor General report, the rule states that you surcharge the person to take the money back. So now, people who have misapplied state money, in the past, the report that was published, nobody surcharges them to pay it back, so it's free. But now, somebody is saying that by law, you must pay back. And that is the problem he is facing. That he's trying to retrieve this money using the powers given by law. I know that he's an experienced person and understands that when he gets to that level, the people who are benefiting from the system and now you want to collect the money back will never make you have it easy. So I'm sure he expects this kind of attacks to come. And therefore, for me, I think that he should just remain resolute in his job. He has a protected tenure of office by the law. Nobody can remove him unless he commits certain crimes or offenses, which none has been proven against him yet. So I think he should continue. Every system is like that. Change doesn't come easy. So you, the person who wants to stand for change and bring serious change, you will definitely face obstacles.
Is it not possible that there may be some excesses in the carrying out of his duty, and that's why AFAG is calling out for
AFAG, it has nothing to do with his duty. They said he has also, the allegation of AFAG against him is that they also have a documentation or evidence to prove that once he is chasing other people for doing the wrong thing, he has also done the wrong thing in the procurement of some vehicles. That is AFAG's position. AFAG is not fighting because they say he should stop collecting the money he's collecting from people. They said, yes, you are doing a good job by chasing other people for doing the wrong thing. But we also have a document that suggests that you and your office has also engaged in something that the procurement authority says that is also against the rules, so you must also be held accountable. I think we shouldn't mix the two issues. Yes, it's politics, so we can relate and say some of these attacks from groups like AFAG and Co may be politically motivated. That is something that anybody can come up with. But let's not mix the two issues. AFAC is not attacking him because he is trying to do his work as an auditor. Okay. They say, yes, what you are doing, that is what the law mandates you. But what the Public Procurement Authority says you have done is that you have also breached the rules of procurement in your office, so you must also be held accountable. Okay. The question is, the allegation by AFAC, is it true? Did PPA indict Auditor General for breach of rules in terms of procurement of the vehicles they are talking about? That it's open for us as a country to look into. If indeed his office also breached the rules in the procurement of vehicles, then the way he is applying the rule to others, it should be applied to his office too. Probably it's not him as a person. Maybe it's an officer in charge of procurement in his office that has done the wrong thing. The Auditor General is not the one who will do the procurement. He has a procurement officer in his office. So let's not mix the two. As I said, you cannot take away the fact that the way he's working, definitely he'll come under attack because certain interests are at stake. That is it. But once we can deduce that some of the attacks may be politically motivated, we should also not throw the baby with the bath away and say that it is because he's doing his job. If he's even found culpable of breaching procurement rules, we should allow him to just because. No. So let's separate the two issues and let's look into it. Let's look at if it's false that the allegations the Public Procurement Authority has made against is not true. Let's establish it, and then no group can come and make any noise. But let's not confuse the two and say, because he's doing a good job, if he has breached the rules somewhere, he should not be held accountable. Or if his office has made a mistake somewhere, he should not be held accountable. Me, I am a strong fan of the Auditor General because I believe that the amount of money we are wasting each year, 2 billion, 2.5, 1.5 billion, is huge. When this new government came to office, contractors presented a budget. When he did his audit, he said the state over 5 billion. Without that audit, the government was going to pay these monies to people who are claiming that they are owed when they are not owed. So for him, his work is one fantastic work. I am a strong supporter of him. I love him. I like the way he does his work. I like his passion. I like his focus, his determination to save us money so that we can use it to do development projects elsewhere. I am a 100% supporter of the Auditor General. But if the allegation that Public Procurement Authority has indicted his office for certain procurement breaches of vehicles, that also requires to be looked into. So let's not mix the two issues.
All right. Okay. So let me come. Once you're talking about doing the right things, the right things getting done, the financial sector cleanup. When are we going to end? When is it all going to end? You know, right now, the fund managers, fund management companies have also been, their issues have been addressed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. 53 of them out of the 68 are now shut down, license withdrawn. What's your take on what's happened with the fund managers, and then when is this all going to end?
Well, when you allowed a rotting system for a long time, the cleanup will also take a long time to clean.
And the regulators...
yes, because the regulators were sleeping. They were not doing anything. They were just taking salary.
So they also have
that is why the law on causing financial loss to the state, I believe that should apply to these regular officers who were in office for all this mess to happen. All the salary they took were causing financial loss to the state. Because we're paying them to make sure that these things do not happen. And they took all the salaries, huge monies. They didn't do these things. And some of them are retirement. Some of them are still in the system. Yet, government is now going for loans and bonds to be able to clean up the system. And these people are still in office. The question is, why do we pay them all those big salaries, those conditions of service to remain in office when they didn't do their? Can't we use the law on causing financial, willfully causing financial to the state to deal with them? Okay? Somebody slept on the job and all this mess has been caused. Look at what we are talking about. Over 77,000 people who took their money and said, manage it for me. Or I am working as a nurse or teacher. I want to contribute to a collective investment firm so that when I go on retirement, I have some bulk money to be able to save myself. We are told that over 4 billion Ghana cedis by these firms have been invested on unlisted bonds. Unlisted equities. Do you know what it means? No. Cha-cha without common sense. That is what it means. You go and play cha-cha without common sense. The cha-cha you play, there's no common sense. Because there's no evidence that while you are investing, there will be any return.
Okay.
There's no business plan, there's no plan to show that what you are investing will make. But this fund manager took people's money and went and invested in these facilities. And some even call it as diversion of funds. And we are talking about 4 billion Ghana cedis. According to Sex Work so far, 4 billion Ghana cedis have gone into unlisted.
That's about half of the money that the total.
That is the point. Funds under management. There's 8 billion under management. Half of it went into unlisted bonds. And if you know what unlisted bonds, as I said, simply put, is chacha without common sense. And these people, the regulators sat down for these companies to do all these things to Ghanaians. Ghanaians who think that, oh, my salary is small, but I must squeeze to save a little to do some investment so that when I go on retirement. Look, if you talk about Gold Coast, you weep for people. I know nurses, teachers who are on retirement now and are virtually paupers because in their entire working life, they say Senate will not give them any good money. Yeah. So they squeeze their salaries to invest for 10 years, 15 years. They say when they go on retirement, they are going to get some bulk money. Only for them to go on retirement and can't get a peso. Yeah. And we allow people who sat over this thing as regulators, officers in charge. Some of them have retired and were given big retirement packages to take home in the midst of this scandal. And we can't use the law. Why do we have the law? We should scrap the law on causing financial loss to the state if we think we won't apply it anymore. Because for me, all the regulators in this institution, officers who were in office, who didn't do their jobs for this thing to happen, the owners of the companies who made these things to happen should all face the law on causing financial loss to the state. You see? But unfortunately, look at how we are talking about. I know somebody right now, somebody who, in fact, it's so painful. If invested in one savings and loans company, it has collapsed. It's invested in a fund management. When I sent the person the list over the weekend service, now we are finished. We don't know whether we should pack our things and go back to the foreign country where we came from to settle and say we want to work here or we should remain here. Because virtually our life in total shambles. I'm telling you, if you listen to individual stories, you will weep for people. So when I hear people using those who have lost their jobs as emotional statement, I don't want to hear it at all. I sympathize with those who have lost their jobs. But those who have lost their jobs haven't lost anything. Those who have squeezed their blood and invested their money to create that company that employed them, who have lost their money, they are the ones I will sympathize with it more. Once I sympathize with those who lost their job, I sympathize more with the investors. Because these are people who squeeze their blood to go invest. And then because of ineptitude or deliberate, I don't know, they sat down for this to happen, that half of the monies under management in this fund have been invested in unlisted bonds.
Vivian, what's your take on this?
Elvis.
Do you have money locked up somewhere?
No. But you see, I agree with Elvis. You know, this whole financial sector cleanup, about, Elvis, is it 5 or when we signed on to the last IMF, it was the IMF who said, there are issues in your financial sector. Go and audit and clear it. If the IMF hadn't made that statement and forced the government to start that cleanup, this time bomb would have happened later, and then it would even be worse than what we are seeing. What is my point? So we have regulators in charge, SEC, Central Bank, and so many other financial sector regulators. They knew exactly what was happening. There were cases where people's financials were never seen. There are certain banks, local banks that are now under, that they were on the stock exchange. We never saw their financials, yet they were on the stock exchange. One of the basic rules of it, we are supposed to see your financials. Nobody said anything. Nobody said, hey, you can't continue doing this. They used to go to the central bank, ask for dispensation to hold on with publishing their financials, which will clearly expose what is going on there. The authority was there. We had banks who were running to the central bank every day for liquid. And the central bank was also doing it because they were looking at job security. They didn't want it blown.
It's and then it was friends, not to affect
job security is just in their response to the thing.
Friends.
There were cases where banks were going for loans that the authorities knew there was no way they could pay for those loans, yet they were approving it. And as this whole thing develops, have you heard of any authority or officer who has been charged with anything?
No.
The people who sat on the job and watched this thing happen.
Even the guys, because in the Bank of Ghana, the report that came out said that there were people in the Bank of Ghana who were involved.
Yes.
You know, but the issue is prosecution of regulators.
Exactly.
We are not
seeing anything. Now, some of the new rules that have come up, if you are found to have been guilty of this whole financial sector crisis, somebody in the sector, you can't work again, my friend. They will come and work again. Nobody will stop them. This is Ghana. My point is is, you see, when we trust a system and the system fails us, it becomes a problem. Now, if you look at what happened with the financial sector, the most affected companies are local companies. 3 days ago, somebody approached me and said, oh, there's this new insurance company. I want you to get involved, invest in. I was like, are you serious? We've seen, you see, we want to help the local companies. But sometimes it makes it difficult to do so because, and Ghanaian-owned companies, because they don't abide by the rules.
So like as in their practices.
Their practices. And the authorities to leave it to be because of these whole connections, because we are all related in one way or the other, whether we like it or not. We close our eyes to certain things that at the end of the day will be detrimental to the society. We turn a blind eye to because we don't want to upset somebody. And then there's always interference. So this whole banking thing, most of the banks were not supposed to even be there. Yet people were calling higher authorities, oh, just manage this. And then we had cases where the banks should have been shut long ago, yet we turned a blind eye because of the friendship we had with certain, some of them. Now look at what is happening. We have a lot of people in there whose money are locked up. We've seen people die because of this thing. And it's not just about, usually the whole financial sector. Even look at the men's gold issue. Look at, we had this US tilapia thing. We've always had problems with the financial sector, Piram, but now it's getting to a point where it's getting so bad. And you ask yourself, is the central bank there? Is SEC there? Are all these things, are all these people there? This fund management thing. When the banking one started, we had loads of people calling us and saying, hey, our monies are locked up here. We've reported to SEC. SEC is not doing anything about it. When you go, they say, well, I can't do anything about it. The worst I can do is maybe you can take them to court. People were left to hang. What was their crime? They trusted in the system. We say financial inclusion.
A licensed institution.
We say financial inclusion. You say that I should invest in, put my funds in the banking system, put my funds whether from Susu. Look at the Susu case.
You told us don't keep your money at home.
You told me and then when I put in there, you sleep on the job. You don't regulate it. Next time when I keep it somewhere or I move it, people are now putting their funds into foreign countries and moving it. Then you come and say that why are we doing that? But if you also sit there and watch these things happen, in fact, if none of these officials are held accountable, then I think we are joking, and this thing will happen again. Give it 10, 20 years again, you will see this thing happen again.
All right.
And you see, the problem is that no economy can make any meaningful progress if savings is low. Savings is critical to any economic growth because you mobilize the savings in the system, use it as liquid, and give it as loan for industry to do production.
So we want to copy the likes of Malaysia and Singapore. There is savings that they are running the economy.
If you have a system where you have created confidence problem, people lack of confidence and they can't save, your economy can't go anywhere. Graphic is saying that savings and loans companies, they are entitled to 20,000 as the maximum money. So imagine you have 100,000 or 200,000 in a savings and loans company, and you are entitled to only 20,000 as well. As relief payment, whilst the appointed receiver works to recover, and whatever they recover is what they share with you. And they're assuming that you have also investment in one of these closed down fund management companies. You are doomed because you did it with a good faith that you are doing investment to make your life improve. Then both sides, you are now in crisis. How do you make progress?
And there's a regulator.
And you see why we say the economy is hard? It is not only because of government mismanagement. People who lost money in this will never have any freedom to tell the economy is doing well.
Well, thank you very much to you, Elvis Darko, who is the editor of the Finder newspaper, and then also to Vivian Kai-Lokko, who's head of news here at Citi TV, Citi FM. Thank you very much for watching.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Citi Tube,
for exclusive breakfast daily content and other Citi TV programs.
Like, comment, and share with your friends.